Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we get the opportunity to talk to Scoom, who's the coach for VP Virtus.Pro. And now this was recorded before EWC made the announcement that they're changing back from the new rule set Smash back towards Super. I still think the video's got good context, obviously, where we get to see a team that has played this rule set compared to one that hasn't. And if you haven't already, go check out the Sonic's Gunner video as well, because that team hasn't played this rule set yet. So good comparison between the two. Both have different opinions, both have similar ideas as well when it comes down to the rule set as well. So if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in a few. Anyway, Scoom, welcome in. First and foremost, it's good to have you. You are the coach, the man, the brains behind VP, which has been very successful. Obviously, we had a quick conversation, but this is mainly about, we want to talk about, very quick cap about PGS and how you guys done against 3 and 4. Obviously, don't want to transition about what's coming up in the world, but let's start back historic, right? So, LANs. 2024 was the first reiteration of PUBG and how they're dealing with the LANs. Historically, you had to qualify, and it was a qualification for 1 lap. This was the first time that you guys qualify, and you fight for 2. Obviously, with a LAN gap and LAN, like, how did you guys find that? Do you think it's a positive having the same set teams for both LANs, being so close together, or is it a negative? Would you rather have some time away to kind of reset the team and get things going? What was your sort of thoughts between PGS 3 and 4?
I mean, for us, I think it was a positive because it was our first LAN as a team together, right? Well, first 2 LANs, but PGS 3, right? Let's take PGS 3 first. It was our first LAN together, and I mean, EB has gone into LANs before and Luca as well, but it's been a while for them, especially EB. It was like 2.5 years or something like that. And it was the first LAN for Nyx, and also Quiz hasn't been in the LAN for a while. So as a team, it was the first our LAN, and some have LAN jitters and stuff like that. But it was good for us because we made mistakes in PGS3, right? I mean, we didn't come in too prepared because we were, talking to organizations, one thing or another. So the preparation was not there. We were not too feeling it. And we came into the LAN and we kind of played our style. And right off the gate, we kind of had like bad games. And PUBG, it's majority of the time it's mental. And if you have bad games off the gate, first LAN and stuff like that, you just start making more mistakes and it just kind of snowballs. And you don't have time. If you have snowball games in your first LAN, like it's gonna be really bad. So for us, it was positive because we could reset and play PGS4. There was a gap in between. We had scrims in the Tyloo bootcamp house, and we just kind of like reset and we could start fresh in PGS4. If there would have been a normal LAN setting where it would have been, like a loser's bracket, maybe it wouldn't have been enough time to reset for the loser's bracket, and maybe we wouldn't have had the success we would have. So in that sense, it was good for us. But in overall sense, I don't like that there's 2 LANs in one place. I think it was too long. So for us, it was a positive. But if I'm thinking about, like, let's say we did kind of do good at the beginning offhand, or for other teams, I think it's too long. 1 month being in one location, even though it was kind of sick to be there, it was too long. And separating them, it kind of made it a little bit. You're dividing the meaning of it. You know what I mean? Like Cerberus won the first PGS3, but you kind of forgot about them when Twisted Minds won. In a way, it kind of overshadowed their insane performance in a sense, right? But if it was all in one, it would have been one Cerberus or Twisted Minds would have won. Who knows what would have happened if it's another tournament? But you know what I mean? Like I don't know. So in that sense,
hype, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you would have been up Cerberus 1. There's a period of time that Cerberus won. But you're right. I didn't even really think about it. Cerberus 1 and
1 week later, you're starting a new tournament. They kind of had a bad performance.
The second one, arguably, is better, right? Because you're going to be remembered for a period of time. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that was that. But it was good. I think we managed to reset and learn how to properly play at LAN, but groups as well. Because we have a specific style in EU where we know how teams play. So we know we can do certain rotations. But when you go to LAN, where you pretty much, it's not only that you don't know what other teams are doing, but it's also the teams that what they're doing. They're playing in new loot spots. Because not everyone can play in the same loot spot. So it's like, so it changes a little bit of the dynamics. And our playstyle, is like very rotation heavy. We like kind of like doing pre-drives and going in. It doesn't really work when you're playing group stages and stuff like that. So we kind of reset. We knew that we need to play a bit more chill. And it worked out. And the boys performed how they should have, There was a lot of still mistakes in PGS4 that we could have, if you look back, I mean, every team could do that. They can look back and see like, oh, we could have won it. But there was definitely a lot of moments where I was like, you know, we're capable of winning tournaments, and it was really good for us, to be honest. Because from that we...
You guys look good. You look good as a VP fan. I'd argue to say actually you was the most improved team from first LAN to second. But then obviously there are teams that went the other way. I just went with Gunner, as I say.
Yeah, Sonic.
They went from a second to like 19th. I don't think they. So I suppose the danger of having these LANs so close together, you can learn from it and adapt, or you can come in it and actually there's an argument saying you guys were cruising, but people are adapting to how you're playing. So pros and cons, I suppose, from it, but I think you guys are good. So I'm looking forward to how you guys are going to produce Esports World Cup wise. I suppose a nice transition piece as well, because Esports World Cup is mostly the pinnacle of the year from a prize pool point of view. But it's also the biggest change when it comes down to how the game's physically changed as well. We're moving into this Smash rule. Now, for context for people, if they didn't catch it, VP have played the Smash rule, but we played it at 100 points, not 70. Now, I kind of want to break down the Smash rule into kind of a couple of segments. So the first segment really is about sort of this day one, like getting day one, and the point split, I think, determines this. I'm a fan for 100 points, and the reason why is because I think we're going to have 3-day tournaments then, or 3-day finals, shall I say. Because a day one for me is, I think a good team's going to put anywhere between 40 points, depending on how heavy the lobby is, to maybe a 70 points. A phase, I think, close out at 74 points day one. That kind of feels about the right. Whereas if that was a 70-point final, we could potentially be closing out day two really, really quickly. But so I don't know what your thoughts are about the 70 points versus 100 points. Would you prefer a quicker event, go aggressive, get it done, dusted in 2 days, or would you rather see the 100 points and have that threshold a little bit higher?
I mean, obviously, the more games and the more points, the more competitive and more fair it is for the better teams, in a sense, right? Because there's less RNG, because the more games played, the better. But if it's a 2-day event, I mean, it kind of makes sense that is it 70 or is it 75?
75.
75, right? If it's a 2-day event like in EWC, then if you add 100 points, it might take a long while then, because you're going to get 6 games day one, unless you're increasing the games on day one, for example, for whatever reason. Then you're going to go into day two, and if it's going to be LAN, it's LAN with all the best teams, and this is going to be such a stacked lobby as well.
You'd expect the points to divide out.
Yeah, right? the points I feel are going to be a bit more balanced. Whilst like in EU now that we had rotation, I feel like in every region there's like a few strong teams, some good teams, and then the weaker teams, right? And normally when that happens, you know, the top teams kind of like take all the points, right? They soak it up, so they reach the threshold much faster. So I don't think at LAN it's going to happen, but with the 2-day event, I think 75 should be okay, because if it was 100 and you're going in and you might play 10 games minimum on the day two. So I don't know how that's gonna be for players, for the casters, production team. You know, it's gonna be a lot of games. So I think 75 might be okay, but at the same time, it could be over, like you said. FaZe, you know, got 74 points, and then day two starts, they win the first game, and it's over after 7 games. Yeah. So it's a lot of question marks that we won't know yet. No one will know, because it's going to be the first ever event on a stacked lobby with a massive prize pool.
With a huge prize pool.
Yeah, there's going to be so much in line. Because rotation just happened, and it's great that they're doing such an event, but, you know, it's EU, and the prize pool is not pressure. You know, it's not real pressure.
It's clearly a test.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a test. It's kind of practicing and screaming, but people are not really feeling the tense that you would for a $2 million prize pool, you know?
100%.
So, yeah.
And let's talk about the and how people think about this, right? Because day number 2 really changed for me. So obviously we had 74 points day number 1. Let's argue to say that was 75 points. That would have been the last game. The last game of day 1. Day 2 would have been that winner chicken dinner scenario. And this is kind of why I like the 100 points, because day 1 with only 6 games playing in the rule sets that were made from PUBG Esports and Bing. Day 1 was only ever going to be 6 games, right? Doesn't matter how many points, unless someone got to 100 points. But there was an argument to say,
yeah,
you really, unless you're in an unbalanced region, and I'd say the EU region, the EMEA region is quite balanced. We do spread the points out. There are some very strong teams, and there are teams that could run away with it, but arguably it's quite balanced, which I kind of like with the rotation. Day 2 then was a different. So you had day 1, that was a setup. Set yourself up for getting 100 points. Day 2 then came back, and it was a little bit of a different mindset for some of the teams. And I do want to talk about VP, because your mindset would have been slightly different. But we came into day 2 and it was like FaZe are going to close it out. There was an argument that said FaZe could close it out on game number 1, maybe game number 2.
Yeah.
Most people thought it was going to end around Tago, maybe Rondo. And we did end up nearly on Rondo, but actually thanks to you guys, we actually got another game in, because that denial point from Nixie was huge. And I think that is a positive for this format. You guys clearly read the kill feed correctly. You clearly were tracking the points correctly. So you knew that giving that 1 point away would have ended the tournament on that day. And if we look at give VP's scenario, every game extra you guys could have got was a game that you could have got closer to finish on 100 points, right? And you wasn't on the other side of the table, but you did have this comeback story starting to come. And I kind of felt like for me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you guys were just, every extra game you could get was an advantage for you guys. And that denial was huge from Nixie.
I mean, that denial, it was a perfect scenario because they only needed 1 point, right? And you kind of knew it. But at the same time, that denial would have happened anyways, even if it was super format, because he was in a losing position against 4BB, right? Was it 4 or 3? I can't remember, but I think it was 4.
3, I think. About
3 okay,
4.
3 or 4, either way, but it was a 1v3 or 1v4 and in an unwinnable position, technically. Maybe in another scenario, we'll try to get a knockout flush or something, but 99% of the time, someone's denying there, you know?
Deny, sure.
It's just the nature of the game right now that you just deny, right, in that moment. So but it played out perfectly for us, and we heard about it after that, they needed 1 point, obviously confirmed, but
insane.
Insane. I mean, and we started that's when the comeback started. I mean, we had such a bad day 1. Like after day 1 we had 13 points, I think, or 14 points.
14 points.
Yeah, which
13th place,
which in a super format, if you're never going to win the tournament anymore. If you have one bad day in super format, unless you have 2 miracle days and then the top teams struggle for some reason, which is so rare, you're basically done. You're not going to win. Maybe you can come back to like a top 5, top 4, top 3 at the best.
But for that mid.
Yeah, but 14 points day 1, you're done for. But with the Smash format, there's a comeback story. There's actually a comeback story. You know, you can actually do what we almost did. We kind of threw on the.
I think you needed 1, maybe 2 games.
We died to was it Hype Beast in the Erangel game? We needed 2 points. We got 2 knocks from Nyx, and we decided to just crash. It was a horrible crash, but we only needed that 2 points and then win the next game, right? And it's like we didn't really feel like we deserved to win at that point. Like we were 13th place on day 1, got up, but we were 8th, I think, overall. Like we would have won that game. Like it didn't make any sense. But in a player's perspective or ours, it was still hype because we still could win. Normally you're not playing for win. It's a bit like meh. But now it was like we can actually win the tournament. Let's keep going. There's kind of hype behind it. Yeah.
This is the difference I find with day 2 and then day 3, right? So I spoke to you. I spoke to a couple of other coaches and a couple of other players, and was talking about the format. And then one of the interesting comments that really stuck with me was James's comment with FaZe. They were in second place. BetBoom had taken over them. Twisted Minds were catching them up, and there was kind of this toying battle between sort of first, second, and third at that point. We had Ascend, obviously, were trying to catch up as well, and they were in that kind of mix for the money. And then Low W were obviously storming in and around that sort of region as well. But James stuck with me because he said, We're not playing for the win mark. We're playing for points because we're comparing this to esports World Cup. And he said, we're not thinking about the prize pool. We're not thinking about this event. But we're using this event as an example for esports World Cup. Because if we're seconds and a VP did get those 2 points and a VP came back in the next game and did get a back-to-back chicken dinner, because we know you guys are good for that, then yes, you would have leapfrogged and taken the prize pool away. That's great. That's a massive underdog story. But actually, from FaZe's point of view, where they've gone from first to second, or second to third. So by that team slotting in at the very top, it shifts everyone down.
Yeah.
And that does mean that they're going to lose in some big chunks of prize pool. So it was a mindset of actually we're ready for that, but we need to ensure that we have as many points as possible. And then it was like, if we find ourselves mid-game or in a position that we could maybe take the chicken dinner, then we will change to play. And that kind of summed up day 2 for me. That was kind of, I felt you guys were out there playing for points, not playing so much for the win, so to speak, or that chicken dinner, apart from BB at the time when we kicked things off. But
yeah, I mean, I think that's gonna vary a lot, because even though that mindset that James said or FaZe, that if you reach the threshold, because I think right now the way you play, like super settings, right? The current settings, not the Smash rule. The way you play is you play each game to maximize points. You don't play each game to win. If it was a best of 1 game, right, you would play to win, winner, chicken dinner. But since it's a best of 18, you need to maximize points, and sometimes you're going to be, the circle's going to shrink away from you because it is still RNG based, you know. Unless you have a good rotation to go there, you'd sometimes just, well, how do I maximize points? Is it a good rotation, or is it like maybe you're getting a few kills here and there, right? So that is going to still be the same in the Smash format until you reach the threshold, and then you decide where you're going to shift your playstyle. And I think when you reach the threshold, you're either going to go for potential wins if you want to win the tournament. Like if you want to come first, you have to like risk maybe getting 0 points some games just for a crazy rotation and potentially win, whereas like maybe a 5% chance of winning on that rotation or that move or whatever you're doing, right? Or you're just kind of, or you're just going to continue, well, it depends what style, right? But or you're going to continue playing the way you are, just maximizing points. You know that you're not going to win the game. Okay, let's push on the side and get a couple of kills here and there. That's what's going to happen. But I think that's also not going to happen because when you reach the threshold, you're a target. And when you're a target, for example, BB, was BB the first, I think, team to reach the thresh?hold?
BB was the first team to reach the threshold,
And after the next game,
they were the ones that denied FaZe. Because remember game number 1, FaZe had that 2-2 split, and they crashed over the other side of the road. Foot Esports from the hill in the north got the knock, and BB just targeted him straight away. And I want to come back to the kill feed because that's going to be a completely separate conversation. But you're right, you become a target especially when you hit that threshold. Yeah,
you become a target, and if you're the first team, good luck maximizing points. Like, not even winning, good luck even maximizing points, because as soon as you get a knock in the kill feed, like if you're playing as normal and you get a knock, and the team beside you knows, oh, FaZe just got a knock. Like, you know, you're going to be targeted. It's going to be so hard for you to maximize points at that moment. It only starts happening.
Let me ask you now while we mention this.
Yeah.
Would you rather the kill feed not be there and you guys have to... it's completely anonymized, or it physically doesn't exist? Or would you rather the kill feed there and actually have the information that you could then chase down someone local to you?
I mean, if I'm first place and I reach the threshold, I'd rather the kill feed's not there.
I'm talking general here.
No, in general.
Would you rather it with or without? Because obviously we know what other titles have it without.
Yeah, PUBG, for example, Apex is the one. They don't have kill feeds. And I think it works. It's just in PUBG, it's been so engraved now that you see kill feed and you do plays based on kill feed, and people are really skillful at tracking kill feed, especially at LAN. So it's a tricky one, because I feel like in this format you kind of need it. I would say, like, remove the kill feed, make it random. But at the same time, if you make it random, then you need to know who you're knocking. Because if you knock, let's say there's 2 teams in 2 different compounds, and you think they're split, and you knock one guy, and let's say it says unknown 1, and then you knock another guy, and it says unknown 1 too. You know, like, let's say everyone has the same name. Then you don't know who you're knocking, or if you're in the middle of a team fight.
Or if it's not there at all, you just see on your screen knock, blah, blah, blah.
Or if you're fighting in a team fight in a forest or something, you knock 2, but you've knocked 2 different teams, imagine, right? You wouldn't know how many you're knocking, so it's kind of a bit... I don't know about that. So if you don't make it too random, let's say you make it like, so it's, let's say the guy has unknown 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next team is 5, 6, 7, 8, or I don't know, like, at least you know that it's unknown, like randomized, but you know there's a specific team. It's also going to be weird. It's also going to be weird, though.
I reckon you would have to have nothing.
Yeah.
Because if you had 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, you
know that 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's another team versus one team, and then you could still kill track, because you could go, okay,
exactly.
Well, teams 1 to 4 have gone, 5 and 6 have gone, but 7 and 8 are still alive somewhere. So you know there's a 2-man team.
Yeah,
it's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah. And you'll know as well, depending where you loot. For example, like, let's say we loot in the Wrangle Yasnaya. And we know that Twisted Minds loot school labs, and let's say it's a kind of center circle, and we get close to them, and we see that they get knocked in school labs. We'll see, oh, unknown 1, 2, 3, 4 got knocked or whatever,
That's
right?
Not Twisted Minds.
Now you know you can track them throughout the whole game, so you got kill feed again, right? So it's kind of hard to do in PUBG. Yeah,
they would get rid of it, or they would keep it.
I think they're just gonna keep it. I think they just will have to keep it. But
you would need some super secret source, like that's the, and it would become a feeling. Which then, if I put my caster desk and host hat on, how the hell do I give the audience context?
Yeah.
Unless, and I was talking to Gunnar about this, unless we got your comms as coaches in, because you are the secret source for a team sometimes. You are that. Okay,
I mean, in EU,
you have now knocked twisted minds based upon the location. I believe is the key words, right? Because you know we've scrimmed against them. And you might be wrong, you might be right, but that context of your comms equivalent to what we can see, that then stitches a story together. Or you keep kill feed, but then you have to, and I think we saw this very much on day 2 and definitely in day 3. People were defending compounds and not actively taking knocks because they didn't want to be in the kill feed. So they were just shooting at cars, pretending to shoot at cars, but they weren't actively taking knocks because the moment we saw, look at BB team and FaZe, the moment FaZe were lit up by Foot Esports, BB team crashed them straight away. And obviously you guys got the win, and that Quizzy, Nixie move up to the middle was insane. He activated right at the perfect time. That was a great watch. But arguably he was out at the 100-point mark at that point anyway, and you guys were clawing to get as many points as you physically could on. Yeah. But it's a difficult conversation, and I can even see in chat and people out in the community, there is a big divide between should you or shouldn't you have kill feed. I don't think until we see Esports World Cup and we see a few more Smash rules, we are going to know whether it's relevant or not relevant, basically.
I think that's not the biggest issue for me. That's not the biggest con of this format, in my honest opinion, though. Like, kill feed, because it can still, I think for viewers, it can still be kind of fun to see, you know, that teams are targeting each other and creating kind of drama, or like, you know, like teams attacking each other because of it, right? I don't think it's gonna, for us as players, fine, but I think for viewers, kill feed's not gonna be a big issue, because it's gonna prolong games, and you kind of want prolonged games, because if there was no kill feed and let's say BB on day 3, right, they could have won the first game and it's over. But with the kill feed, it kind of made it harder for them. So what my main
you guys had, you and Foot Esports clearly made an agreement, and the top of Miramar Mountain to deny
Lol W.
You both didn't trust each other though. You both had one player back because you're like,
we were still looking at each other and pop shotting. But we both knew exactly what was happening, because in a normal game, we would have pushed Foot 99 times out of 10.
100%.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But at the risk of getting knocked, Lol W pushes up and they win the game. But that's a risk you take, because we had such a good position. But there, we knew that if something went wrong, Lol W is going to win the whole tournament, so we couldn't. We had to wait it out. And it caused an artificial teaming, in a sense, right? It caused an artificial teaming happening, because it just makes perfect sense. You have to deny Lol W. Like, we rather get second place and Foot to win than Lol W winning, right? Because we're making the comeback story. Yeah, so...
And this is the comeback story. Arguably, if you got those 2 points, there was an argument to say you guys could have won that tournament. And the same with Ascend. Ascend fell short a little bit on their game just before as well. They needed a couple of points. I want to talk about day number 3, because day number 3 was really different for me. Day number 3, so day 1 was about getting the points. Day 2 was about getting to 100 points. So we was kind of watching, and people were denying where possible. But eventually, we got BB team and obviously got through, right? Then we ended. Day number 3 was the same as day 2 to start with, but the moment I feel like we had 4, maybe 5 teams at 100 points, it wasn't about hunting those teams down anymore. It was about trying to win and stopping them winning. So not actively hunting, but I think that maybe, is it because there was too many of them that you say, okay, well, we've got to keep an eye on them, now we've got to keep an eye on them, now we've got to deny them. I kind of felt like day 3 changed for me, and eventually we did got a win by Twisted Minds. They played a wonderful game plan in the middle of the fields, like super clutch play. But I feel like it felt different from a viewership point of view. I don't know about the players, if it changed for you guys halfway through the day.
I mean, the beginning of the day was try to deny BB as much as possible, and then try to deny BB and Twisted Minds, and then Lol W, and then, like you said, when it became 5 teams and we were already catching up, it was more like we obviously keep track of it. You know, we have full kill feed, and we are keeping track. Like, if X, Y, Z team are all dying, then, you know, we play out as normal. But let's say every team died and BB was still alive, we would obviously focus on BB over us winning. You know, when it's one team left. When you can focus one team, it's fine. But when there's so many, you just can't do it anymore. So you have to focus on yourself winning. You have to. The only way you can deny all 5 is by you basically outplacing them. So that's what the main focus kind of shifted. Like, it shifted to attacking, then it shifted to us winning, depending where the situation, the kill feed that was happening. So it was interesting in that regard. It was different.
I definitely felt like 3 days were different. I definitely felt that.
But the only thing that we were missing is we never hit that threshold. You know, we reached 98
You're
points.
Close.
98
so
points.
Close.
Yeah,
so
that.
Close,
yeah, that we only needed 2 kills in that Erangel prison game that we won, right? if it was 2 more kills there.
Yeah, it would have been clear. Then obviously that push the next game was slightly different. Obviously you got picked apart, but that's part and parcel of PUBG, right?
So we never reached threshold, so we don't know how it feels like still. We're going to be fresh. Yeah.
You would have hit it. There was 5 teams in the context at that point, so arguably that would have been potentially 10 teams with a 100-point threshold. Surely at that point, there's an argument that we can't have that many more games. That the odds are in the favour of the team winning now with 100 points is going to be greater. And eventually it did come down. I think most of Ascend, most of the chat, including all of the Ascend fans, and arguably even me, I know FedEx was supporting Ascend, but Kilikai, one man in the chat, I was, if
everyone was cheering
team
for him,
and Twisted Minds were going for them, he could have swept in a lot of right side, but unfortunately Batorn is wrapped in towards the south, and he did pick him up, and it was very hard for him to get out at that point. But again, I think that's another thing which I do like about this format. It's not a player-based thing. It's actually, when I went back and watched them, the amount of support you guys were getting in chat. Like, people who were VP fans were supporting Ascend to get a win to not stop the game winning. Like, people were supporting and following, and I feel like the engagement for the viewership to watch the games is huge. And I don't think you can get that from the current format, excluding the Smash format. I think Smash has a very unique engagement when it comes down to the community, because they're going to support, because they want to see VP get another game. They want VP getting those extra 2 points and then coming back and getting that chicken dinner. And then on camera on LAN, that would be insane. That would be insane.
I think we got the best case scenario here, though. So I'm a bit still skeptical of the format, because we got 17 games. Normally would have been 18, so it's like kind of what would have happened in Super. Yeah, but with a more exciting ending, I guess. But I'm still a bit skeptical, because this is best case. What if the first day BB would have won? Now, what would everyone's thoughts would have been about the format?
I think we need to see that.
Yeah,
it sounds bad, and I don't want to see it on esports World Cup. Yeah. I'm hoping it's another grassroots events, right? I think we need to see it, because it is the other side of the coin. It is part and parcel of this format.
Yeah, but I think that con is bigger than Super's con, because in Super, what's the worst thing that can happen in Super? Like, the winner before the last game,
three games,
2 games, or 1 game, right? Yeah. So like, that's the less exciting on the ending. But the other games are still exciting. Like, the other games still are meaningful. There's
always a story. There is always there's a caster. We look at stories, and yes, we might know the winner, but then you got to remember there's prize pool that's not just for first. So there is always a story.
And it's no different to, let's talk about other sports, right? Like football, soccer for Americans. If you're watching a football game, and let's say a team is up 5-0, for example, which is extreme, or more, right? That's really extreme, but let's go on the extreme side. And it's 85 minutes already over, there's 5 minutes left, and it's 5-0. That team's won 99.99999% of the time. You still watch, but the ending is, maybe it was fun, but the ending is not that exciting. They just
not as explosive as a last.
But imagine on that 5-0, the opposing team, if they score in the last 5 minutes, it goes to penalties. 5-1 straight to penalties. That's basically Smash format for you.
Love it. You're right.
For the losing team, it's more exciting. You know what I mean? Or like Formula 1 is a perfect example. Formula 1 has been there for years, right? Since 1950 or something like that. They've used a point structure. They use a lot of different races, 20 plus races in a calendar year, and they race with the same kind of similar system to PUBG. They get 25 points for a win, and scale down to 10th place. Yep. And for that, the winner sometimes beforehand, before the last race. Are they going to change their style to the last race, winner takes all? Whoever wins the last race wins the whole tournament, just be more exciting or something like that. You know what I mean? That's when I refer it to, because I watch Formula 1. It's still exciting. Each race is a spectacle. But sometimes near the end, who's won 3 races before that. But it's not an issue over there. But it's an issue for PUBG.
Let me ask you some questions about this, because it is a really fair analyzing of the change in the format.
Yeah,
and I see both sides. Like that. Please, I sit on the fence in the context. I see the positive. I see the negative. Is this a change to bring more viewership to PUBG and captivate that they're on an upward climb of viewership for LANs? Because when we look at some other titles, their LANs viewer numbers are huge. So is this an easier format from a viewer to explain if someone new coming in, or is this just a change because it's due a change? What do you think the thought process is behind bringing Smash in the middle of a year where we've already added additional lands and changed the format. It is a big change. There's a lot of changes within a period of time.
I think it's confusing. It will be confusing for players at the beginning, unless they come from an Apex background or another esport that has a similar style, because we've been so accustomed now that you're just playing for points and multiple games. But now it's like they have to reach a threshold. First, viewers need to understand that 75 points, and then after that they need to win. Some people still are confused, like, what if they have 74 and they win the last game, and in that last game they pass 75 and they win? They don't know that they need to first hit the threshold and then it's next game, right? Some are confused about that it's the current game. Even like players in the scene in like the Discords are still asking.
I've had loads of
about
people ask me.
Yeah,
I've had loads of people ask me. I try to explain it as you have to start the game over the threshold.
Exactly.
If you don't start the game over the threshold, it doesn't count.
So that's the thing. It will maybe take a while for people to but a lot of new players will. And I don't know if it will bring new viewers, because I think PUBG... I think the hardcore fans are going to watch it no matter what, right? Whether it's Super or Smash, they're going to watch it. But like new people, I don't know if it will. I mean, what's going to happen is it's going to make some tournaments more exciting and some tournaments less exciting. Like we said, if it reaches, for example, imagine VP made a comeback story and we won, right? That would be super hype. That would be massive. Whoever it was, right? It would be massive. But what if it ended in the first day BB won, right? Then it would be a kind of a downer weekend. Especially if it's EWC, day 2, everyone's there, you're with your friends or whatever, you're watching the tournament, and it's going to end after the first game. That's going to be, good for that team. But for everyone, it's going to be like, we want to watch more games. So, I don't know. Like, it has... Its range of hype to no hype is kind of vaster than what Super is. And the format of winning a game, I think PUBG's identity of winning winner chicken dinner, I think they're overthinking it too much. Because if you look back to history, back to the beginning of 2017 when the game came out, it was kind of about winning, right? Like teams, because there was leaderboards. People would play for the leaderboards. It was so placement heavy. The placement structure they used to have at the beginning of the days was so like heavily and less for kills. And then over time they've changed that for more kills, less placement. But you also see it in streamers and pro players when they stream. What do they do when they stream? They land, hot drop, they go drive around, go for kills. They're not really going for wins. No one's going, like if you will go in the Twitch category of the top streamers and pro players, none of them are going for wins. So let's go in the middle of the compound, wait it out and go for wins. No one's doing that. Even in ranked.
Has changed.
Yeah, even in ranked, when pro players play ranked, they're just going for fights and kills and hot drops. So it's like, it's not matching to the winner chicken dinner that they think is so big. You know what I mean? If that was the case, if people are excited about seeing wins on streams, then it makes sense, bring this to esports, it might bring the viewer base. But no one really cares about that. And I think I see that also in the PUBG Reddit, which is a rare Reddit that you don't really want to go to. Because they don't like esports over there.
We still write comments in Reddit.
Not the comp PUBG Reddit. I mean the official PUBG Battle Reddit.
Yeah,
they don't like esports. They find esports to be boring because people camp in compounds and don't shoot and don't get many kills, So it's like, if you're going for the winner chicken... Yeah, if you're going for the winner chicken dinner or Smash format, that emphasizes it even more. They're going for the win format. So, I don't know, there's a bit of a... For me, personally, feel like it's not the way forward to get viewers. I think there's other ways that need to do to bring viewers.
I think it'd be really interesting. As I said, I do see both. I do like the format from a viewership point of view. I am prepared to see a bad tournament in the context of a short tournament, and I don't know how I'm going to feel about that until it happens. I can only have my viewer hat on at that period in time, unless it's like some super hype ending, right? I can tell you when I first thought about the rotation, I actually didn't want to end on day 3, game 1. I wanted to go a little bit longer. I wanted to continue playing Erangel until I had no voice. But because that is also another remake. How far did we go before it becomes boring?
I think the more games, like imagine it would have kept going, worst case scenario, 10, 11, 12
7,
games.
8, 9, 10.
I think for viewers that actually will be fun. Because I've watched some I'm not too knowledgeable about Apex, but I've watched sometimes at few tournaments, and the last one that I watched was when TSM won, I think, a major. And they... I think it was Optic Gaming reached the threshold really early, and they were about to win the tournament, and then they didn't. Another team got the threshold, and I think it was like 4 or 5 teams that reached the threshold, and then TSM out of nowhere won like 3 games in a row, reached the threshold themselves, and then won. And it was hype. Like the whole viewer base, like even myself, I don't watch Apex. It was really exciting to watch, and that was like best case. When a lot of games keep happening, so many more teams are reaching the threshold. You're telling your friends, dude, no one's won yet. You need to watch it. No, I think the more games is better, even though it's very tiring. Yeah.
I think that's what they're trying to achieve. I think the 70-point fresh, that in around the 70 points.
That's going to make it happen potentially, but
I think we need to go to 100.
Yeah.
If not a tad more. But I think that depends on whether you want a 2-day or 3-day.
You mean in 2 days you want 100 or 3 days 100?
I still want a 3-day. I still think finals should be 3 days personally.
Yeah, but EWC is not going to change that. It's going to be 2 days.
No, yeah. And I think that's why we need a few tournaments out to figure out. And I think that's why they're figuring out, okay, well, we've done 100 for 3 days, 70, 75, 80. I think they might change the 2-day threshold slightly. And obviously, I know you put a great comment up on the competitive when we was talking about, obviously, looking back historically about events. You're right, can't really compare old events. I still think the best team will always win. I do think that will come through.
It's because if it's like that Reddit we were talking about is basically someone looked back and showed compared if you were doing the Smash format, who would have won the tournaments, right?
Or Super.
Yeah. So who would have won the tournament? But it's hard to do that because if a team reached the threshold, they would have played differently. It's the same as if you look at football, soccer again, we're referring to. Imagine if you go back historically in every football game, whoever scored the first goal won the game. If you look back as well, I think the statistics is probably the team that scores the first goal is going to win the game maybe over 60% of the time. So you're going to see the same results, right? I think it's the same thing here with Smash and Super. If you go back, the team that's going to win the tournament is most likely going to be the one that did win Super, higher percentage of the time. But it might just end a little bit earlier, might end a little bit later, but that's going to happen. But it's hard to, because if you told football players now, the first team to score a goal wins the game, no matter if it's 90 minutes or 10 minutes, the game will be played differently. They might
It's the golden goal, mate.
Golden goal, and that's what football is, you know? Yeah, and you would see that teams would play differently. Or if it was golden goals and you told them, okay, now football's changed, it's going to be 90 minutes, good luck, you know? They would also play it different. Like, it's hard to, you can never change, when there's a rule in place, you can't go back and be like, oh, what would this rule have different an outcome? Not really, they would have played it different, but most likely it would have been similar. Because the skill of a team won't vary too much.
A mindset, then you've got to add pressure on LAN, and then you're playing Smash War on LAN, never been done before. This is going to be all interesting variables. A couple of questions I will just let you go because I've taken up far too much of your time, so I appreciate the time. How are you guys preparing for EWC and Smash? What are you going to do different compared to what you've done before?
I mean, the major thing is the fact that Rondo got added, right? And knowledge of map is massive. Understanding the map, because we don't have... I mean, Rondo got announced when we were at PGS4, right? When we were there in China, and teams were already like scrimming and stuff, and we were kind of like left out, and we had to come back instantly and claim our loot spot and learn the map. And that's mainly our main focus has been that, and obviously, you know, teamwork and synergy and all this stuff. But understanding Rondo has been a big chunk of our other development going for it, and obviously other maps too. But like Erangel and Miramar, and now Tego, we're very comfortable in. It's just fine-tuning, communication, teamwork. Because we're still a relatively, I would say, new team. You know, we started the beginning of this year. I think we're probably, out of all the top teams, the newest, right? Like in terms of building synergy together. I mean, I know Quizzy and EB and Nyx have been together in the past with the previous WU roster. But it was Quizzy main calling, you know, now it's EB that we have main calling, and it's a different dynamic. I mean, I wasn't with them back then, but I joined them at the end of last year. So it's a different dynamic. We're still always learning to play together, and I think it takes a while. I mean, PUBG is majority of it is teamwork and synergy. Like, you can be as good as you want mechanically individually, but without that synergy, that's why Twisted Mind's so good, right? Or have been so good. It's because
that boundary.
They've been together for 4 years. I mean, until they recently changed, brought in Example, right? But that old roster, they were there with NLT initially for 4 years. And at the beginning, they didn't really have that great success. But over time, they just built it. They have an amazing synergy. And they now, that's the result they're getting because of that. Whilst now, normally you see a lot of teams just all the time kind of changing rosters. It's hard to rebuild and fit perfectly. And sometimes you do need roster changes. It's not like you don't need roster changes, obviously, but having that perfect fit and synergy is the number one skill needed for the teams. Yeah, and it does take time.
Don't appreciate the time. Some people don't appreciate the time. They're changing. too much. I'm like, you can see it's not working now. So.
Yeah, and we are still working a lot on it. Like, we're not perfect by any means. You know, we still have a lot more room for improvement, and that's what we're trying to do in every aspect of the game. So, yeah, that's basically it. And I mean, I think we're going to be looking pretty good for EWC, I would say. I think we're pretty comfortable right now. Our Rondo knowledge is also like we're so focused so much on it that it's actually pretty decent, I would say. So it just comes everything put together.
Scrims.
Although we haven't had great scrims, I would say, in the past. I would say since we came back from PGS, our scrims have been kind of disaster. I mean, not disaster. I
think you guys are trying things though.
Yeah, I mean,
I can see you're trying different things.
But I think coming from LAN, like when you play a LAN, it's so exciting, it's so fun. I mean, I know from a player before, like LAN's the best feeling in the world. Like when playing and competing is so much fun at LAN compared to at home. And when you go from a LAN that the boys probably had and then go into scrims online, it's just like, it's kind of a downer, you know? No, not down in the sense, it's like, it's a different vibe, you know? It's,
you got the boys next to you.
Yeah, you're not at the 100% focus and all that stuff, and it's a bit different. So it's like probably a little bit of the case why we haven't done too good in scrims, trying new things, and also like, you know, we're not 100% focused at it. Although, yeah, that's pretty much it. But now I think we've had a few good scrims in the last couple of days. We're a bit more, since it's leading up to EWC, now we know that the more focus has to come in and obviously perform a little bit better. So, yeah.
When you've got Sonic starting to scrim in the EU, you know it's major event time. That's always the case. They always start to
yeah.
Also, I wish you guys all the best for EWC. I'm always a fan for everyone that I cast, so I'll be cheering again. I'll be cheering. Just don't do an underdog, please. Don't do a comeback story on Smash. Like, you'll be giving me a heart attack. I nearly had a heart attack on the rotation.
I mean, that will be more fun though than coming first and winning though. But
you guys have got the talent, mate. You've got the talent to dig deep and put wins, even back-to-back wins on. It always baffles me that you guys get the first game win and you get the last game win. Like, it always baffles me. Just need to get a couple in the middle would be good.
I mean, something that's a strong suit of our team is like we actually close out a lot of games. Like if you look historically of all our games, we win a lot of games. So it's like it's good for Smash format that we can finish games, you know. Because there's some teams that you know get a lot of points, but maybe they come second, third, but we actually are more of a winning team. Which makes sense, our play style, the way we play.
There's a couple of teams which I think are really strong for Smash. You guys are also not, because you're here, I've spoken about it on stream many times, I've spoken on the rotation at the pre-show. I think this will play to your format. I think Twisted Minds will play to their format as well.
Yeah.
They're a team that can put points on quite quickly and then also close out. Because you're right, there are teams that can put big points on, but they can't close games.
Yeah, they normally don't win.
There's teams that can close games out, but they can't put big points on. And this is why Smash Rules kind of decent, because you kind of need to do both. Arguably, maybe get the points first, and then be able to have the ability to close out a game. But if you haven't got the ability to close out a game, you're going to add too much pressure to yourself, and then you're not going to be able to close out anyway. So I'm interested. I'm really intrigued to see how it goes. I wish I was there. I can't get there. So I do wish you guys all the best. Is there anything you want to sum up? Anything you else want to say or talk about before I let you go?
No, I think that's pretty much covered it all, I guess. Yeah, just hope we do. I hope we do well at WC. I'm gonna shave my beard instantly as I arrive in Saudi Arabia, because I'm gonna do the mustache buff.
Too hot, mate.
Yeah.
Too hot for us.
Yeah.
I think if I was there, I'd be doing the same. Trust me. Gibson Cast is out at the moment. He's flying back tomorrow. So because we got the brutality, which we'll see you on Friday anyway. But yeah, he's flying back tomorrow. So I wonder how he changes the climate. Bless him. But look, obviously, guys, all the best.
Thank you.
I hope you guys all the most success. I want to see you guys up there, always back in the EU teams as well. So, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for supporting us always as well.